I'm afraid it's gone, everybody. There is a brand new... No, here it comes, here it comes. Look, there's brand new cubs at this den. How incredible is this? Look at this. Hi. Where did you come from? Oh, my goodness, look at you. Look at this tiny, tiny little thing. Oh, this is so fantastic. I wasn't sure when I first arrived. I didn't think it looked like ribbon. The ears were too tatty. Oh my goodness, you are looking at a young hyena that is so new to the world. It's only just started to pop out of the den site. This was not what I was expecting at all. Good morning, everyone. Hello, gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous little creature. How cool is this? I knew we were due for new cubs. I just didn't expect it. I really need to talk on the radio now. I just want to chat to Rolf quickly. Oh, I can't. Oh, goodness, I need to just get a word in. Oh, my goodness, I'm so excited, everybody. Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, goodness gracious. Chris, you say it looks like a baby bear's. Just hold on one moment. Our stations, there's brand new cubs at this Misikaya, Rolf. When you come in slowly. I'll come from the east. Sorry, Tax, standing by. Copy that, Tax. Stand by one. I will let you know when I pull out. Hello, gorgeous. They do look like little bears, Chris, don't they? They look so much like little bears. You're not the first person to make that observation. I agree with you completely. And so many people feel that way. I think it's just one, but it's hard to tell at this stage. Oh, it's tucked itself into mum to suckle. Oh, we're so lucky. Consulting detective, I have absolutely no idea who the mum is. I haven't had a chance to properly look at her. She's been tucked away behind the bushes or tucked away inside the den site. There's a number of possibilities. The fact that she's lying in this den, it's very different behavior. Oh, it's all right, little one, it's okay. Don't be scared. I'm trying to get a good look at her ears. Her ears are quite tatty. So I think one of our older mums, not the matriarch, not Madam. Madam's got very notched ears. So it's not the matriarch. It could be Pretty, it could be Corky. Could also be Scarback. I'm not 100% sure. Honestly, I'm not too sure which particular hyena the mum is. And we'll just have to wait patiently for her to come out. Hi. Well done, Mum. Gail, at this age, I'm guessing, I'm not an expert at aging them, I would guess and say that this cub is around about just under a month. I'd put it older than 2 weeks. Let's say 3 weeks. I'm guessing. I'd like to see it properly. Obviously, it's very much tucked away behind the raisin bushes at the moment, so we can't see it. But once it does come out, their first 10 days or so, after about 10 days is when they'll first start venturing out, but their ears are usually, they're up, they're separated from their head, but they're usually floppy still. And this one seems to have a relative level of coordination. So my guess is around 3-4 weeks. It's still completely black. No sign of spots yet. Okay, Mum. Okay, Mum. I can hear it squeaking. I knew we were due for new cubs. I'm so happy I got to see one before I leave. I've only got a day left, and this is such a lovely surprise. Paige, you want to know how our hyenas are named? I'm laughing because it's a complex process. A combination of the guides, us as presenters of Wild Earth, and viewers combined as well, and then we recently named 2 hyena cubs by popular vote. So it really is a complex process, and one that we haven't exactly narrowed down, and we don't really need to, because nobody else actually names the hyenas. So we can pretty much name them whatever we want, and it really helps because it helps us to keep track of who's who. Because if you're a new viewer and trying to keep track of Hyena 43 or whatever, it does get very, very confusing. So a mixture of different approaches to naming the different hyenas. And just a quick introduction, because I haven't even got around to that. My name's Jamie, and this morning Craig is on camera with me. I'm so chuffed. I'm so chuffed that we've got a view of this tiny little hyena cub for now. I'm so curious as to who the mum is. Goodness, this den site has proved to be full of mysteries. First it was a mystery older cub, now it's a brand new little one. And I would assume Ribbon is still using this den site, so her cub is in there somewhere as well. Blocked in at the moment by a large adult hyena. There you go, Michael, you wondering about where is Ribbon, the mother of... Oh, this is going to get confusing. Ribbon was the newest mother up until this hyena. And Michael, I think Ribbon isn't here at the moment. Well, she's obviously not here at the moment, but I suspect that her cub is still utilizing this den. So very often for our new viewers, you see hyena clan members sharing den sites all the time. It's very common to see hyena cubs of different ages growing up in the same termite mound. And for the most part, it is relatively strife-free. But it does make predicting what they're going to do quite complicated. And welcome to Vanessa in Los Angeles. Vanessa, it's hard to say exactly how long they're going to use this den site. So hyenas move between den sites because after a while you get a buildup of parasites. It becomes very dirty, it becomes very smelly, and that, of course, despite the toughness of hyena immune systems, that can pose a risk to the health of the cub. So they move them every now and again. And it's difficult to predict. If she were the first mother to move into this den site, I would say she's going to be here for easily another month, maybe even 2. But the older cubs have been in this den site for quite a while now. So I would suggest that we're due a move at some point soon. But it is hard to predict, and it's hard to say for absolute certain. That cub's old enough to be moved. I've seen younger cubs than that being moved from one den site to another. And this den is starting to get that very characteristic hyena den smell, which is pungent, not unpleasant. All right, we're going to patiently wait for this hyena. Oh, hello. Hi. Chantal, do you want one last look at the cub? Or shall we head across to Tristan? What would you like? Okay. One last look, because at this age, this cub could well go back to sleep at any minute. All right, it's tucking in for some breakfast. Okay, I'm going to sit here patiently and wait and see if this cub is brave enough to come out. In the meantime, Tristan is enjoying the morning sunlight and looking at grass. And the beautiful cub is hidden behind a raisin bush at the moment, but I might actually be able to stay longer than I thought I could. Just hold on 1 minute, I just need to chat to the other guides. Tax, are you sure about that? I'm happy to pull out now. Okay, copy that. There you go. You can actually hear us discussing on the radio with each other. And William M., you want to know, what is the protocol with newborns? It very much depends upon how the hyena is behaving. So in a situation like this, we are allowed to have, according to protocol, allowed to have 2 vehicles at a hyena den, provided everybody behaves in a good way and provided the mother is relaxed. If you've got a skittish mother and skittish cub, then you'll keep it to one. We'll make the decision. Whoever gets into the sighting first will say, okay, we're keeping this to 1 vehicle. And if you don't feel comfortable, we have in the past, then you just say the sighting's closed. And that's it. Everybody leaves and it's closed. And the animals are left to their own devices. But because this mother is so relaxed, it's absolutely fine for us to have 2 vehicles here. Oh, and just by the way, I know there's a big raisin bush in your way. I mean, I do see that, but there is no other view, I'm afraid. If I go around the other side of the den, the mound of the termite, I like that, is in the way. And if I roll any further backwards, you're going to have a bush willow in your way. So this is, believe it or not, the best position. I just wish we knew who the mother was. I also would love to know what kind of dynamic is playing out here with the older cub and with the middle cub, now with this brand new cub. I'm very curious to know exactly where the mothers fall in terms of the clan hierarchy. Sorry, Michelle, you wanted to know about the gestation period of a spotted hyena. About 110 days, give or take. Obviously, it will be different for different mothers. And for a lot of the time, you only get 1 hyena cub being born, especially to new mothers, because the labor process is really very, very difficult for the female spotted hyena. There's been a trade-off, because in spotted hyena society, the females are bigger, they're stronger, and they have high levels of androgen. And that, as a result, has kind of given them a very odd genital structure. And they have to give birth through a very, very tiny, very narrow passage, which occasionally results, particularly for new-time mums or first-time mums, results in the death of a cub, because that process is so difficult. She's lifting her head up. I'm hoping she might... Never mind. I was hoping she might come out into the open. Oh, cub, I see cub. Here we go. Come on, little one. Breakfast time. And good morning to Koda Karula, one of our very special younger viewers, who's obviously watching with his mum Kay. Now, Koda, you want to know whether or not hyenas, wolves and wild dogs are related. Koda, wolves and wild dogs are related. They're in the same family. So just the same family that has domestic dogs in it. So one big family, but they are separate species and separate genuses, which means they're just that little bit removed from each other. There's enough differences. Hyenas are something completely different. So they are not cats, they are not dogs, they are hyenas. It's a completely separate family. So in your head, if you can imagine it, you think of cats and you think of dogs, you have to think of hyenas completely separately. There's something totally different. Come on, little cub. I think it's enjoying some breakfast now. The good news, of course, is that with a young cub, Mum's going to be visiting this den relatively frequently. I was going to leave the sighting, but I actually don't have to anymore. Taxon's moved on. Morning. Excuse me, I don't know what's wrong with my voice this morning. Good morning to Rebecca. Rebecca, no, hyena cubs or hyena mums do not allosuckle. In other words, a hyena cub will only suckle from the mother. they will not be allowed to suckle from any other female. We have on occasion seen cubs go and sniff the nipples of a mother that isn't their own, and occasionally even lick, but there's no proper suckling, and the mother will immediately turn round and snap at them. So they don't allosuckle in the way that lions do. And the big difference, of course, is that in a hyena clan, not all of the females are related to each other. So they're, unlike a lion pride, where the females do allosuckle, they're allosuckling their own, their sister's cubs, or their mother's cubs, or their daughter's cubs. That makes complete and utter sense. I know that ear, that left ear, with that nick out of the top of it. And that is just from flies biting the rim of her ear that she's got that little nick. Come on, girl. Why don't you come out so we can figure out who you are? Okay. Alright, I'm going to sit patiently and wait for our hyena to come out. While we do, let's find out what James has planned. The cubs are doing wonderfully. Well, the one cub. So we've managed, now that the other vehicles moved out of the sighting, we've managed to nab the best spot. And this is too priceless for words. The mum's been wrapping her amazing bone-crushing jaws so tenderly around her cub's head. Look, it's covered in her spit, in her saliva. Oh, that must be so sore. Hyenas are born with fully erupted teeth. I don't know how many of you out there have ever raised puppies or kittens, but you know what those baby teeth are like. They're like needles. And even though that cub is tiny, it is that bite probably hurt a great deal. Luckily, hyenas have thick skins. I'm pretty sure this is Scarback, you know. I still haven't seen her properly, but now facing her front on, that's who I think it is. I could easily be mistaken, but that's who I think it is. And the cub just wants to go back to bed. She's not letting it. She's blocking up the entrance. Oh, this is gorgeous. Hyenas are such loving, tolerant mums. And at this age, they really are at their cutest because they're so wobbly. Nita, who is 8 years old, one of our special young viewers. Oh. You want to know if the cub can walk as soon as it is born. They are born quite well developed, so they do shuffle around the den, they crawl, but they don't walk particularly well. And it's because hyenas have quite underdeveloped back legs and hips. And if you watch as this cub starts to venture further and further from the entrance to the den, it's going to be very wobbly in the beginning. Its back legs will keep collapsing underneath it. There's alarm call. Sorry, hold on. Stations that Kudu are alarm calling Treehouse Dam. Big time. Negative. Can you repeat that? Copy that. Goodness, look at the cub, look how far it's gone. Oh, you're so brave. Standing by. Copy that. Once I leave Missy Kyle, go follow up. They're very cross that side. Copy that, Rex. Sorry, Chantal, I was busy talking to the walking team. Oh, there we go. James is going to follow up on those alarm calls. Wonderful. Go for it, James. It's still nice and active here. I'm just letting James know that he must go and follow up on those alarm calls, because those kudu are cross. Hi. Look at that little tail tucked up. So they do, you can see it's very wobbly on its back legs. Do any of our hyena experts have a confirmation of the identity of this mother? Those of you who are watching on big screens. Okay. Crystal's also thinking Scarback, but not 100% sure. It's been a long time since I've seen Scarback, you know. I actually suggested that she might be the mother of the older cub, just because it was about time for her to have cubs, but it seems like she's got a brand new, very wrinkly addition. Look at those wrinkly wrists. Oh, baby. Here we go. Tucking in to feed, just the paws in the air. Rebecca, hyenas usually have 2 cubs at a time. It's very common to see 1 though. So they usually will carry 2 to full term. As I said, especially for new mothers, the labour process is... Oh, those kudu are so cross. I don't know where James is, but he must race. I'm sure there's a leopard at Treehouse Dam, or around that side. Yes, very often new mothers actually they don't manage to deliver both babies safely. So it's quite common to see 1 hyena cub. That, of course, has led to this very prevalent story that hyena cubs will always kill each other. Hyena siblings. Hyena siblings, if they are the same sex, supposedly would always kill each other. That's not the case at all. Yes, it probably does happen every now and again, and the fact that they're born with fully erupted teeth, there is a power struggle. And perhaps, yes, it might result in the death of a cub, but it's not nearly as common as it used to be believed. It's not nearly as frequent as, say, with birds of prey. Sheila, it's impossible to say. Sheila wants to know if I think that she had more than 1 and the other one didn't survive. I think that is a strong possibility, because hyenas usually give birth to 2, but it's impossible for us to say. We really don't know at this stage. I think it is safe to assume, though, that she only has 1 cub. At this stage, I would have expected both to be out and feeding. When the cubs get a bit older, then you can't always be certain, because sometimes one of them wants a lion, so they don't actually always pop out of the den. But at this age, I think it's safe to assume that there is only 1 cub. I'm chuffed, though. I don't know what to do, to stay or to go. I'm going to make up my mind. In the meantime, Tristan has got a tent web spider. It is too cute. It really is an overload of cuteness. And this cub, for its age, is so brave. It's been wandering all around the den, up towards the raisin bushes. James, it was kudu, and they only stopped about 5 minutes ago. Sorry, just chatting to James about those alarm calls. Right, see how brave this cub is? It's going all the way to the other side of the den already, which is amazing. Come on, little one, out you come. And of course, every time Mum gets up, and she has got up, every time she gets up, she's behind the bushes. So I still haven't got an idea of who she is. I don't want to start the vehicle now, because if we start doing that, here comes the cub back again. If I were to do that, the cub would get a fright. So when it's away from Mum like that, then the best thing is to keep the vehicle off at this age, so that it doesn't have any negative associations with us, so that the sound of the vehicle isn't associated with it getting a terrible fright. Whereas now, when it's next to Mum, then it's a good time to turn the vehicle on. because then it feels far more safe and secure. And it's easy to see why, with such a loving mum. Vanessa from Los Angeles, we were chatting earlier about how long the hyenas are going to stay in this den, and I'm not sure, because this den's been occupied for a couple of months, and as we spoke about earlier, the build-up of parasites is probably such that they're going to need to move in, I would say, at the next few weeks. It's hard to predict exactly when the hyenas are going to move. I would guess quite soon, because this den has been occupied. If this were the first cub to be born at this den site in a while, then it would be a different story, and she'd probably stay here for a month or two. But because this den's been occupied for quite some time now, I think they're due a move relatively soon, just due to the build-up of parasites. Right. I wonder if Ribbon's cub is still here. Georgie, you want to know how big the den is inside? It is actually pretty big. The tunnels come out on the other side of the termite mound. There's 3 different entrances to this particular den site. One is caved in, so it's the cubs usually don't use it. And the way that hyena dens work is the entrance to the den is obviously big enough for the female hyenas to lie in front of, but they actually can't go into the den itself. And the hyena cubs excavate their own little sleeping tunnels, their own little cavities where only they can enter and exit, which is a brilliant way of keeping them safe. So as long as they rush below ground into the termite mound itself, it's unlikely that anything is going to be able to get in to get to them. Something like a lion, for example, would be very keen on getting rid of hyena cubs. I have seen a male lion once furiously digging in a termite mound to try and get hyena cubs out, but I'm not quite sure what caused his serious obsession, because that's unusual. If the cubs are in the den, generally speaking, a lion's not going to be too bothered about trying to get them out. Here we go. She's doing a good job as mum, cleaning her little one's bottom, and that, of course, will also stimulate it in terms of its whole function. So by licking its bottom, she's going to cause it to defecate. Another reason why, because obviously at this age the cubs don't go out when they need to relieve themselves. So that's another reason why they will leave the den site and move to the next one. At this age, the hyena cubs ideally need regular feeding. But Vanessa, mums can leave the cubs at this age for days at a time. Less so in the Sabi sand, where the food is readily available, but in certain areas in East Africa, from what I understand, and I think that's going to be something that we're going to be very interested to see. Hey! Oh, just too sweet. It's wrinkly. It is something that we're going to see in the Mara. The mothers have to leave for days at a time and then come back to the den site, and they cover tens of miles to go off in search of food. With our hyenas, I would say the longest she's likely to leave this cub is about 2 days, especially at this age. Obviously, the smaller they are, the more regularly they need feeding. Tiny tummies and lots of growing. Those of you who've raised puppies or kittens will know how that works. I think its feet are the most gorgeous thing about this cub. I don't know why, they've just got such gorgeous little paws. Come on, Mum. I want to play. I want to play. You're not being very fun. Fine, I'll use you as a jungle gym. Right. I know that James picked up on some tracks of the leopard. Let's find out how that search is going.